"I'll be happy enough for both of us," said my sister, who stole John from me. She sent me an invitation to her wedding with Peter, trying to show off. "But Mom and I will go," I said. "We'll show her a real spectacle." Normally, my parents are kind and rarely angry, but it seems they've had enough of my sister's wrongdoing. Attending the wedding with a fearsome smile, the ceremony turned into a nightmare, not a celebration. My name is Grace Turner. I'm 24 years old, I work as an illustrator, and I'm newly married, not even a year into my marriage. My relationship with my husband, Peter, was strong. We met through a friend and didn't take long to start dating. He proposed at a restaurant with a beautiful night view. Our wedding was blessed by family and friends, a ceremony filled with smiles. One day, as I was about to send John off to work, I noticed he left his smartphone in the living room and brought it to him. "Peter, you forgot your phone," I said, handing it over. He took it, slightly panicked. "Thanks, that helps. See you later," he said as he rushed out. I felt something was off about his haste. That was the beginning. After that, John started to carry his smartphone with him at all times, even at home. Suspicious, but I couldn't believe John would cheat, right? We've been getting along well without any major issues, so I reassured myself that everything would be fine. However, my trust was soon shattered. After finishing hanging the laundry, I returned to the living room and noticed a notification on my phone. It was an email from an unknown account. "Hey, long time no see. How have you been?" It seemed like someone I knew, but I've heard of scams pretending to be acquaintances, so I decided to ignore it. If it was important, they'd call, I thought. "Hey, don't ignore me. I can see you've read it." "Ignoring your sister, that's just like you, always so mean," the message read. The moment I closed my phone, it rang. The message was from the same unknown account, calling me sister. Indeed, I have a sister named Sally, but she's a troublemaker in many ways. For example, she has financial issues. Sally often borrowed money from friends for various reasons and then cut off contact without repaying them, leading to my parents and me frequently facing the backlash. However, because she was their daughter, my parents ended up repaying her debts. Next, there were complaint issues. Sally would immediately lodge complaints over the smallest inconveniences. Her manner of complaining was terrible. She would hurl abuse and even force those who came to apologize to kneel, making her an extremely problematic customer. Then, there were issues with men. Sally loves men, particularly those who were taken. She didn't care if it was a friend or a family member. If she set her sights on a man, she'd pursue him. Indeed, this caused friction with friends, and the fallout often landed on my and my parents' doorstep. It's because of her behavior that I wanted nothing to do with Sally, and we had been out of touch since she left home. But there was the word sister in the smartphone message. If it was her, I had a bad feeling and hesitated to reply. Deciding to leave it be, whether it was Sally or some imposter claiming to be my sister, I wanted no part of it. However, my phone kept pinging annoyingly until I decided to open it to block the sender. What I found was shocking. "Ignore me all you want, but John is mine now, so hurry up and divorce him, okay? Thanks for finding such a great catch for me. From today, John won't be returning to you. So I'll send over the divorce papers. Make sure to file them quickly," the message read, accompanied by a photo of Peter and Sally together. I didn't need confirmation to know it was true. My hands trembled as I sat down, overwhelmed by shock to the point of feeling faint. Following Sally's words, John never returned home, and all I received were the filled-out divorce papers. Attempts to contact John were met with complete silence. Suddenly stripped of my happiness, I was overwhelmed with sadness and anger and became emotionally unstable. "Why, Peter?" I spent days in tears. After a few days of calming down, I decided to contact Sally. What's your intention? Let me talk to Peter. You've been ignoring me all this time and now you contact me without even a hello or apology. What's your intention? Excuse me, you're the one who should be apologizing. Just send Peter back here. For now. No way. He doesn't want to come back. He says he loves me far more than he ever loved you. And why should I apologize? It's your fault for not being able to keep him. No matter what I said, it just didn't get through. I was already in a terrible mental state, too tired to worry or think anymore. Enough. Finally realized it was hopeless. Clinging on will only make you more disliked. You know, if you're going to resent someone, resent your lack of charm, loser. After this exchange, I closed my phone. I was done dealing with Sally and had lost all affection for John, who had chosen her. Before I knew it, I had signed the divorce papers, and just like that, my once happy marriage came to an end. My life became a mess after that. Perhaps due to the severe mental damage, I struggled to eat, feeling more exhausted than usual. I looked so haggard that my coworkers were worried. And though I tried to assure them with a smile, it seemed my body and mind were reaching their limits. Eventually, I collapsed at work, waking up in the emergency room. I found my parents and a close coworker by my side. Hannah, can you recognize me? Hannah? Hearing their voices brought me back to full consciousness. Looking around, I realized I was in a hospital. Recalling my last memory, oh, I collapsed, didn't I? My dad let out a sigh of relief. We were shocked when the hospital called. Aren't you overworking yourself? He suggested. But I knew the real reason. It was the stress from John and Sally. Maybe, I muttered, and my mom quickly pressed the nurse call button to summon a doctor. After being examined, they decided to keep me in the hospital for observation. Are you eating properly? Getting enough rest? My dad bombarded me with questions, worried. While I assured him I was okay, my mom asked him to buy some drinks and anything I might be able to eat. He agreed and left the room. Hey, Hannah, something's up, isn't it? I thought so too. You've looked worn out lately, and this has never happened before. Women are said to have keen intuition, and it seemed to be true. I sighed and told them both about everything that had happened. I found myself crying in the middle of explaining, realizing I had reached my limit without even knowing it. I thought I was okay with it all, but turns out I don't understand myself. As I forced a laugh, my mom squeezed my hand tightly. I had no idea all this was happening. Why didn't you tell us sooner? It's the first I've heard about the divorce. Sorry to say this in front of you, Mom, but is Sally out of her mind? I can't believe it. Both of them showed their anger towards Sally, and I could feel they were genuinely worried about me. I didn't want to worry anyone, nor did I want to make a big deal out of it. I thought it was something I could overcome on my own. I didn't want to trouble or worry anyone around me. I felt embarrassed about the situation, and part of me believed what Sally had said might be true. Maybe it's my lack of appeal that caused all this. That's nonsense. What are you talking about? Anyone can see that Sally and your ex are the unbelievable ones. Natalie is right. You did nothing wrong. To think you were suffering all alone, I'm so sorry. Both looked like they were about to cry. I regretted not relying on those around me more. My mom suggested I come back home for a while, considering my mental and physical state. And after the doctor also recommended rest, Natalie took care of the paperwork at work with my medical certificate. When my dad returned with drinks and heard about me resting at home, he immediately said I should come back later. Natalie managed to explain everything to my work, and HR told me, "You've got plenty of paid time off saved up, so take your time off to rest." After thanking Natalie, she told me she'd do whatever she could and that I should lean on her anytime. Over the next few days, I stayed at my parents' house. Natalie occasionally visited, and I could tell my mind and body were gradually recovering. I realized that bottling things up isn't good. Today, Natalie visited again, and as we were enjoying a cake prepared by my mom, my phone rang. Curious, I opened it, and my heart raced. "Hey there, how are you doing? Thought you might be wondering about us, so I decided to reach out." It was Sally, who I hadn't spoken to since the fallout. I regretted letting my guard down and checking my phone. Natalie noticed the change in my expression. "What's wrong? Are you okay?" Yeah, I'm fine," I replied, but it was clear something was off. Natalie asked if she could see my phone. I didn't want to worry her, but I had just realized that bottling things up wasn't good, so I nodded and handed her my phone. Natalie looked puzzled as she read the message. "What's this? Is she picking a fight? This is Sally, right?" I nodded in response, and Natalie closed the phone. "Just ignore it. Let's block her. No point in dealing with someone like this," she suggested, and I agreed. Opening my phone to block Sally, just then, another message from Sally came in. "We've been living together smoothly since then, and guess what? I got pregnant. You might be thinking already, but nope. Peter and I started our relationship 6 months ago." The word pregnant made time stop for me. We had been trying to conceive during our marriage. "It would be great if we could be blessed with our baby soon," we used to say. This message cut me deep. Tears started flowing, and Natalie, seeing me cry, took the phone from my hand. After reading the message, she yelled, "What? I can't believe this. I'm so mad I could explode. We should sue them." Suing was something I had considered when I first received the message, but now I didn't have the energy or will to pursue it. "I just don't want to deal with this anymore," I muttered. Natalie calmed down. "Sorry, I got too emotional. You're right, it's best not to get involved." Natalie's comforting back rub felt so kind, and I cried a bit more. Then my mom came into the living room, having seen what happened. "Hey, Hannah, I haven't told your dad about this yet." I understood what that meant, knowing this would infuriate my dad. "But I think it's time we told him." My mom's solemn words struck me deeply. I took a moment to think. "I also believe it's time to talk about it. This is just too much," I concluded. Natalie's words convinced me too, so I decided to let my mom talk to him. My mom said she would talk about it, so I decided to leave it to her. After Natalie went home and it got dark, my dad returned from work. "Wow, smells good in here today too. What's for dinner, Dad?" "Welcome home. I'm back." According to Mom, Dad has been in a better mood since I came back home. Dad's usually not one to be in a bad mood, but he seems happy every day. And Mom told me how glad she was that I came back. Those words made me genuinely happy, and grateful to have a place where I feel at peace. However, today, Mom had a serious look on her face as she started a conversation with Dad. "Welcome home, Dad. I'd usually love to chat about the usual fun stuff, but there's something important we need to discuss." Seeing Mom's expression, Dad seemed to understand and turned serious too. Then, looking at me, he said, "It's about you, isn't it? Let's hear it." Dad's face was kind, and just looking at him almost made me cry. After explaining everything to Dad, his expression was calm but carried an air of anger, almost frightening. "I see, Hannah. For now, don't block her yet, huh? You don't have to read the messages, but wait on blocking her," Dad advised, and I nodded, understanding. He must have his reasons. Mom tends to accept Dad's opinions in situations like this. "For now, Hannah, don't block Sally. And if she contacts you, just don't read it. It might be good to let Natalie know too. Understood. Thanks for telling us, Hannah. You're okay. You've got your dad and mom here for you, and Natalie too. Dad and mom's kind words and smiles made me so happy. I ended up crying with relief. Seeing this, both my parents laughed. My heart felt incredibly warm. That night, I told Natalie, and she said, "It's great you have such supportive parents. And you've got me too." I looked up at the night sky, truly feeling it. After further discussions, I decided to move back home. Moving meant returning to my parents' house since the office is within commuting distance from their home. Natalie suggested it might be better for my mental health than staying in a house filled with bad memories. The rental contract was in my name, so I took care of the cancellation and sent John's belongings to his parents' house on the day of the move. I also took care of the mail forwarding at the post office and completed the move. I said goodbye to the landlord with a smile, able to leave on good terms. So I started living at my parents' house again and successfully returned to work. My colleagues were very worried, but I could now answer them with a genuine smile, saying, "I'm okay." My boss also told me not to overdo it, making me realize once again what a great workplace I have. A few months later, I was home. As I got home, my mom greeted me with a serious face. "Welcome back, Hannah. There's something we need to talk about. Come to the living room as soon as you've changed." "Oh, okay, understood." I predicted something was up from my mom's serious expression. I changed into my casual clothes and went to the living room, where my parents were sitting with a puzzled look over a letter. I hesitantly took a seat in front of them and saw the letter placed before me. "An invitation," I muttered. And Dad said, "Yes." It appeared to be a wedding invitation, but what could be the problem with it? "Can I see it?" "Yes, you can." I took the invitation in my hand. The senders were unbelievably Sally and Peter. "What?" My voice escaped me in shock. "You filed a forwarding address because you moved, right? This was sent to your house." "That's right." No wonder. Both their faces looked grim. However, surprisingly, I felt calm. If this had happened before, I would have been shocked, but now I just felt disdain. "Are you okay?" my mom asked, concerned. Dad was also looking at me. Somehow, I'm much better than I thought I'd be. Seeing this, I can only feel disdain, though I do wonder how far they want to demean me, right? Even if she's my daughter, this is beyond what I can tolerate. I'm glad Hannah isn't as shocked as we feared, but still, this is going too far. I could see flames behind my parents. I'm grateful for my dad and mom, who are angry for my sake. It's addressed to me. I don't have to go, right? I asked, and my parents looked me straight in the eye. "Mom and I will go." "What?" "We'll show them what hell looks like." "What?" Seeing my usually gentle parents this angry was a first for me, and it made me uneasy. "But this is addressed to me." "Well, we are the parents of the bride. It would be rude not to attend, right?" "Exactly. Our daughter's wedding. Looking forward to it." "Imam, yes?" My parents exchanged smiles. I could only give a wry smile when I told Natalie about it. She didn't seem surprised at all. "Aren't your parents right? If you're related to the bride and groom, you have to attend." "But wow, a wedding, huh? Itchem." I could tell she was smirking, even over the phone. Everyone around me is strong, but they're also scary when angered. "On the day of the wedding, are you going? Are you sure?" Watching my parents prepare to attend the wedding, I asked anxiously. "Why worry? There's nothing to be concerned about," my mom said with a smile, but her eyes weren't smiling, which made me nervous. Dad had a similar reaction, dismissing my worries as they continued their preparations. "I hope it's okay," I mumbled, ignoring my concerns. The sound of a car arriving could be heard. I went to check if they had called a taxi, only to find a familiar car parked outside, and who should get out but Natalie. "Natalie? What are you doing here?" I blurted out as I opened the door, seeing her dressed in a party dress, looking glamorous. "Good morning. Are your dad and mom ready?" No answer to my question. "What? I'm attending the wedding too." "What?" I was shocked by Natalie's statement. When my parents came out of the house when I asked them what was going on, it turned out that one of Peter's relatives was a friend of Natalie's, and after learning about the situation, she was invited to attend as his relative's girlfriend. My parents didn't object; instead, they seemed enthusiastic about going together. As I wondered what they were thinking, Natalie said, "I can't just stay quiet after what happened to Hannah. You understand, right?" Though I was anxious, I agreed. Then my parents and Natalie left for the venue in the same car. I felt maybe I should go too, but Natalie seemed to read my mind and said, "If you want to see, I can show you through a video call." I decided to stay home and rely on them. Curiosity got the better of me, so I contacted Natalie for a video call. Upon arriving at the venue, my parents and Natalie went to the reception. Natalie was listed thanks to Peter's relatives' arrangement, but my parents weren't on the guest list since they weren't invited. The receptionist went to confirm their names, and then Sally appeared. Sally was surprised to see my parents and couldn't hide her confusion. "Why are you here?" "Why? We're the parents. It's natural for us to come." "There was some mistake, and we didn't receive an invitation," my parents said, which made Sally force a smile. The invitation was meant for Hannah." "Yes, we were surprised when Hannah told us. We had no idea about the wedding since Hannah couldn't make it today because of work. We came instead. Sending an invitation to Hannah is fine, but you should have sent one to us too. It wouldn't look good without the bride's parents, right?" My dad mentioned the lack of an invitation twice. Although I couldn't see my parents' expressions through the video call Natalie was sharing, I could imagine. "Right, yes, I am your daughter after all. Of course, you'd be happy." Sally seemed to genuinely believe my parents came for her sake. I thought she was delusional. Then John appeared. He turned pale at the sight of my parents. "Relax, Peter. They came to celebrate with us. They must love me, especially since Hannah is like that," Sally reassured Peter, who seemed relieved and greeted my parents with a smile. John's parents also joined in, and the atmosphere became friendly and warm. Seeing my former in-laws chatting happily, a memory of being fondly cared for by them stings a bit. I wondered if they were only nice to me because I was their son's wife, which was a bit shocking. Maybe it was indeed the right decision not to go. I murmured. Then the scene shifted to the ceremony and then to the reception. At the reception, Sally and Peter made a happy entrance. Natalie occasionally asked me if I was okay, but I was surprisingly fine watching the two of them. "I'm okay." More than anything, I was worried about my phone's battery, but she reassured me she had a portable charger well prepared. Indeed, when it came time to read the letter of gratitude to the parents, Sally started panicking because she hadn't expected her parents to come. Seeing this, my parents asked the MC for the microphone. Today, we weren't supposed to come, so, understandably, Sally wasn't prepared. As a surprise from us, we'd like to convey a message to our daughter, Sally. The venue erupted in applause. Sally, seemingly relieved by the save, smirked and clapped. "Dad, I'm so happy." Her exaggerated gratitude was irritating. I continued watching, feeling uncomfortable. My dad then started something unbelievable with a smile. "Our surprise from us to you is this: he announced, and suddenly the doors of the reception hall opened, revealing several men standing there. They all were looking outraged. I watched the scene, wondering what was going to happen. Sally turned pale at the sight of them. Our Sally is so charming that she has received affection from many men. The kind Sally has responded to all these feelings, making her our pride and joy. And today, these gentlemen wanted to give us a prize, so we brought them here. Wait, Dad? How did you know? Sally? I had no idea you were so. Consider it now, gratefully accept this surprise. My dad initiated, leading to the men storming the stage, expressing their anger. Sally tried to escape but was confronted with accusations like, what do you mean you're marrying someone else? How much do you think I've spent on you? And pay back the money you borrowed. Sally turned pale and was nearly in tears. Watching this, Natalie coldly commented, "Wow." While I was stunned, Peter confronted Sally with a, "What's going on?" He found her too shocked and flustered to respond. Then my mom took the microphone and began to speak. There's one more surprise. As my husband mentioned earlier, our daughter, Sally, is very charming, so much so that she's also popular among women. As Mom said this, several women in attendance stood up. We've invited those who expressed a desire to meet Sally. Following my mom's words, the woman approached Sally. How dare you steal my man, and then try to be happy yourself? Pay me the alimony for cheating with my husband. You cut off contact as soon as I lent you money. Pay me back. The situation turned into chaos. The reception hall went from buzzing to downright hellish. I imagined the other guests must be shocked, but they seemed more disgusted than anything. Seeing my parents smiling through this chaos was frightening, and I realized this was the kind of reputation my sister had. Amid this uproar, someone took the microphone. Sally, to have such an attractive person as our son's bride is truly heartwarming. To my surprise, it was my former mother-in-law, making an unexpected statement. As I wondered what she was talking about, she continued. It might not compare to the wonderful surprise prepared by Sally's parents, but we also have a surprise for you. John looked shocked by his mother's words. What are you talking about, Mom? Can't you see what's happening? Ignoring John's attempt to calm the situation, my former father-in-law took the microphone. First, we'd like to thank Mr. and Mrs. Sally's parents for such an appropriate surprise. I run a business, and we've decided to remove John from his successor position. This is our surprise for you. What? What? Sally and John were astonished. I had heard during their marriage about John being groomed as a successor. His dad's announcement was shocking. What are you saying, Dad? You've made your own choices. Cheated by your own will, divorced by your own will, and remarried by your own will. Someone who can make such commendable decisions should start your own business rather than take over mine. Don't decide on your own. You said I was the successor. John's eyes widened in panic. No, we are serious. You're already splendidly independent. Use that judgment to live your life from now on. Together with the wonderful Sally. Exactly. Having a son who can make such self-centered decisions, I couldn't be prouder. My jaw dropped. My former in-laws seemed to be laughing like my parents, but their eyes weren't smiling. They seemed pretty angry. Natalie was chuckling upon hearing this. Serves them right. I can barely hold back my laughter. I'm just speechless, I said. And Natalie filled in on what had happened while I was away. My former in-laws had come to apologize. They thought of me as their daughter, and my parents, and they had planned this surprise revenge together. Natalie had been in touch with my parents and had also heard the story from John's relatives, so she knew everything. Hearing this made me tear up, realizing I had so many people on my side. You're not alone. So many people care about you, Hannah. How could we stay silent when someone important to us is hurt? Yeah. I cried and couldn't speak properly, just nodded. Thank you. When I finally managed to say, thank you, I saw my parents and former in-laws smiling kindly at me through the screen. The chaos continued at the venue with the staff trying to intervene in the disastrous situation. Then a man stood up and walked towards the stage. He stood in front of John. Then John collapsed to his knees. Apparently, after being told something by the man returned to his seat. Hey, what did that man say? Can't tell from this distance unless he uses a mic. Maybe I should go ask him directly, Natalie said and moved towards the man with her phone. Excuse me. As Natalie approached, the man turned around. I was startled. Uncle? Yes, it was my dad's brother, my uncle. Natalie showed him the screen, and seeing me, my uncle was surprised and very happy. Hannah, are you doing all right? I heard about today from your dad. It must have been tough. Thanks for worrying about me, but I'm okay. By the way, what did you say to Peter just now? That this hotel is run by me, so I told him I'll be claiming damages. The reception hall is a mess because of the bride and groom. Hearing my uncle's words, both Natalie and I understood. That's why Peter turned pale after talking with my uncle for a bit. I felt encouraged again. Trying to see Sally through the camera proved difficult due to the crowd of people surrounding her. This wedding had become anything but a celebration. Looking around, many guests had started to leave. Among them were some of Peter's colleagues I recognized, but even that colleague left the venue with a puzzled expression. I thought to myself, well, that figures. Feeling somewhat relieved, the wedding ended in disaster with Sally and Peter looking pale and exhausted at the end. And now the bride and groom will exit, the MC announced. But by then, almost all the attendees had left, and the only ones clapping were our parents, former in-laws, Natalie, and some of John's relatives. When my parents returned home, I went out to greet them, and surprisingly, Natalie and Peter's parents were with them. I was a bit shocked but bowed to my former in-laws. I'm sorry for not being in touch. I regret that our marriage ended this way, despite your kindness. I had been feeling guilty for not apologizing to my former in-laws after the divorce, so I took this opportunity. My former in-laws, with tears in their eyes, placed their hands on my shoulders. We should be the ones apologizing, they said. But I insisted it was unnecessary and thanked them for their care during the marriage. After that, we all had tea and chatted happily, thanking each other for the wedding events, and parted on good terms. I felt like I finally had closure and felt refreshed. A few days later, my phone rang during work. It was a message from Sally. I had forgotten to block her, but upon checking, it was a barrage of complaints. Your fault, our wedding was ruined. Take responsibility. You told our parents, didn't you? Jealous much? Don't project your unhappiness on me. Pathetic loser. I pondered for a moment, then asked Natalie, who was at the next desk, can I still claim alimony for the affair? Easy. She's been sending enough evidence herself, right? Feeling completely over it, I decided to hire a lawyer to claim alimony. I saved all the exchanges and images sent by Sally and replied to her. Thanks for all the evidence of the affair. A lawyer will be in touch, so please stop contacting me directly. A lawyer? What are you thinking? Stop it. Sally started deleting the messages and images she had sent. After telling Sally that all evidence was saved, she visibly panicked and started apologizing. Sorry, it was all lies. I'll give John back since he's no longer going to be the CEO, and I won't say anything terrible anymore. Please spare me the alimony. I already have debts as it is. That's none of my concern. I don't want John, and well, do whatever you like. It might have been good that you took him. I don't need a man who cheats, and in the end, you protected me. Thanks, sis. I sent that and cut off contact after blocking Sally. She tried to reach out from different accounts, but I blocked those too. I consulted with the lawyer I was referred to and submitted the evidence. They were quick to act on it. Next, I started receiving messages from Peter. Perhaps things weren't going well with Sally. He sent me creepy messages like Romeo, which I ignored and also blocked. My parents handled it when he tried to contact the house, wanting to talk to me. Frightened by my parents, he hasn't contacted me since. Later, the lawyer informed me that John and Sally had agreed to pay the alimony. They tried to fight it with Sally's usual complaint tactics, but that doesn't work on a lawyer. Realizing they had no chance, they accepted defeat dejectedly. John, initially resistant, turned pale and gave in after learning Sally had sent me plenty of evidence. Despite the bitter feelings from being tormented by such childish individuals, I'm now only grateful for the many people who protected me. Sally and Peter eventually divorced. Sally, having no one to rely on, contacted our house once, but my parents made an estrangement declaration. It said that she hung up the phone while crying. John, rumored about the wedding at work, found it uncomfortable and resigned. Unable to return home, he's now surviving on part-time jobs. As for me, I received a promotion at work due to my high performance. I started a relationship with someone I met in my new department, looking towards the future. Natalie also hit it off with one of John's relatives, and we often share our love stories. Next month, as a celebration, my parents, Natalie, and even my former in-laws are planning a hot springs trip together. After hitting rock bottom, I feel happier than before. Let's conclude the story shortly. Hannah, having weathered the storm of her sister's betrayal and a disastrous wedding, found solace in the unwavering support of her family and friends. She flourished in her career, found love again, and embraced a future filled with joy and peace. The chaos caused by Sally and Peter ultimately catalyzed Hannah's personal growth and a reminder of the strength she possessed within herself. Though the scars of betrayal lingered, they were overshadowed by the warmth of genuine connections and the unwavering love of those who truly cared. As Hannah embarked on this new chapter, she carried with her the lessons learned, a heart brimming with gratitude, and a spirit that refused to be broken. Thanks for watching. How did you find the story? Let me know in the comments below. Remember to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more awesome stories like this. Your feedback and support mean a lot.